and welcome to our latest Cambly live session. Thanks to all of you who are already in the chat. I see a lot of people. I see Aisha, I see Anissa, Jagdeep, Aisha, another one, Abraham, Baburam. Thank you guys for joining us. Please send through a hi, tell us where you're from while we wait for everyone that's going to join to join. To those of you who don't know me, my name is Daryl, and I'm going to be your teacher today on Cambly. If you don't know Cambly, this is your first time. Cambly is a great web-based and app-based program where you can learn with native speakers just like me. I'll explain a little bit more about that at the end of the session, and I'm going to give you guys a discount code. So stay for the end of the session so you can increase your English learning at a lower price. I think I see some other messages coming through. We've got Fazal saying, hi, sisters and brothers. Thank you. Kalipan. Kalipan says for his last exam, he got 100. Well, I think well done. All right, I'm going to give you guys a clap. I think that is amazing. We've got Luan from Brazil. Oh, and Kalipan is writing another exam tomorrow. Well, good luck for that. I hope you're going to do well. Tell us about it next time. Oh, and I see a couple more highs from Grace, from Tanya, from Shambhu. Thank you guys for joining us. Now, what are we doing today? Today, we're doing kind of a fun topic. We're looking at travel vocabulary, like we're going around the world. I love to travel. I think it's an amazing thing to go to a different country, a different city, experience a different culture. I'm sure you guys agree. Remember, today is an interactive lesson. So what I'd like you guys to do is, as we're going through the lesson, tell us about a place that you have been. Maybe even tell us a little story about that place in English. Tell us about a place you want to go to. I'm sure we can all share in things like that. I see a lot of stuff coming through in the chat. So if you have any questions, if there's a word that we don't cover, but you want to know, and it's related to travel in some way, send it in the chat so we can deal with it. And if you have any funny stories or anything about travel, tell them to us. And what I'd like you to do, as we're going through the words, make a sentence with them. So when we do a word, send a sentence so that I can see that you guys understand it and are using it correctly. All right, and we have Muhammad. Muhammad is asking, do you speak American English or British English? Now, that's a good question. Let me just deal with that before we jump in so that everyone is already ready. So American English and British English are both English. The difference is that American English has an American accent, British English has a British accent. And sometimes the slang, the words they will use will be a little bit different. Best example is that Americans will call it a cookie, you know, the sweet chocolate chip cookie, and the British people will call it a biscuit. So that's just one of the differences. But besides from that, the rest of the words are the same. The grammar is the same. So yes, I guess you could say I speak American English because my accent is American. All right, let's start on our travel vocabulary, words for traveling. So we're going to tell a little story here about how we start the travel, go to the airport, what words are going to be there. When we get off the plane, what words are we going to know or need to know in the airport? When we go to different places in the city that we've traveled to, we want to know what the words are that we're going to need when we're there. All right? So let's, and as we go, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the words into the chat so that you guys will see it perfectly spelled, I might even put the definition if we have time. All right, let's start. Now, the first thing I wanted to look at is the different types of flights that you can take. Now, this can be a bit confusing, especially if you're dealing with an English reservation page and you're trying to book a flight. And let me write down those words because those are also travel words. So I just add the word book and reservation. So to book means to choose a date, choose a time, choose a place. You have booked it. You said, this is where I'm going. You probably paid for it as well. That's what a booking is, to make a booking. A reservation is basically the same thing. It's just a longer word. So we could sometimes use a booking or reservation for the same thing. We're choosing a day, a time, a place, and we're probably paying for it to make sure that it stays. So you can make a booking or a reservation for a hotel, for a car, for a train, for a plane, for anything. So that's a booking and a reservation. And let me write them down in the chat so you guys have them. So we have a booking. I get my typing right here. Booking or a reservation, which means choose a time and place and pay for it. That is your booking or reservation. I think I see someone's asking what the word schedule means. So I'm going to write that down and we're going to deal with that later. So when you're making your booking or reservation, sometimes you might be confused by the type of flight or the type of journey that you're going on. So let's take a look at the different types of flights you can have. First one we have is a direct flight. So this means you start here, you want to be here, and you just fly straight to that place. It's direct. So there's no stopping. So you fly as long as you need to. That's a direct flight. So I'm going to make a little arrow here to show that is direct from one place to another in the earth. Sometimes, though, we have an indirect flight. So it depends which airline you're traveling on. You want to go from here to here, but you might have to stop, wait, go to another place, and then end up at your final destination. So there could be a lot of little hops to get there. That is an indirect flight. So indirect means we are hopping around from one city, one place to another. So that can also be for a train. That could be for a subway. So it's indirect. We're not going straight there. Sometimes when we have an indirect flight, we need to find our connection or transfer flight. So you have gone from here, you've flown to your first stop, and now you have to get onto a different plane to fly to the final place. So you have to transfer from one train to another or one plane to another, and that second plane is called your connection because now you are here onto the second plane and you connect to go to your final destination. And that's another word that we can have for travel. Let's put it down here as well. Destination. Big word. Maybe you guys know it already. It is our final place. So our destination is the final place. Let me type it into the chat. So destination is the final place you are going to. Good spelling. All right. Then we've got our transfer, our connection. Then another set of different kinds of flights. We have a round trip. So a round trip means we go from one place to the other place, and then we come back again. So we're kind of going around. We go to one place, then we come back again. That's why it's like a round trip. One place and then back again. So some people, they want to have that round trip because they're going to come back maybe to their home. Other people, they take a one-way trip. That's it. So they're from here to here, and who knows what they're going to do here. Maybe they'll decide, and eventually they'll come back on another one-way ticket. So that's the round trip. You go, you come back, and the one-way is just one way, no coming back. And the final type of flight that we can have is a transit flight, which is similar to our transfer and our connection. It means that we have to go through an airport or a place, again, on our way to our final destination. So I'm here, I go from A to B. B, I'm in transit. I'm really just going between places here to get to C. So transit is the same as transfer. It's our connection or an indirect flight. All right, so those are our different types of flights. Oh, I see someone else wants to ask about a traveling agency. All right, look at that later on. Thank you, Ibtihal. All right, let me just quickly write down our different types of flights. We've got the direct, the indirect, which is the same as the transfer, the connection, and transit. And then we have the round trip and the one-way. All right, so those are our different types of flights. Now, let's get on to our story. Okay, so we're going to start in the airport, and then we're going to go through our story, get to our destination, see what's there, and talk about all those words. So first thing, and I'm sure you guys know this word, but it's an important word anyway. Let me use my other marker here. Passport. And I put these little diagrams. I hope they're big enough. So passport obviously is your document. It's a document that says you are who you are, and it's a way to identify you. So when you're going anywhere, especially internationally, you need to have your passport, your ID, maybe other forms of identification to say, yes, this is me. So that is the passport. Then, important when you're traveling, is to know what kind of currency they use. Now, that is a fancy word for money, but it means that each country will use a different kind of money. They will have a different currency. So if you go to America, the currency is the US dollar. If you go to Britain, the currency is the Great British Pound. If you go to Europe, the currency is going to be the euro. If you go to Australia, the currency is going to be the Australian dollar. If you go to South Africa, the currency is going to be the rand. So each country has its own currency. And so it's important you know what currency you're going to need in the country you're going to. So that's why it's an important word. Also, before you go, often you want to get the money, you may go to a currency exchange, which is like a bank, where you give them your currency and they give you the currency of where you're going to. So you'll give them pounds, they'll give you dollars, and you go to America. And they sometimes have it in the airport as well. So that's something to know when you're going. You got your passport, you've got your currency. And then to go with the money, sometimes you may get, and this is a nice word, you may not know it, a surcharge. So you may see this in a lot of different places. It could be at the airport. It could be at a hotel. It could be at a restaurant even. And the surcharge basically just means it's more money. It's another charge. Sometimes you may think, why do I have to pay that? I don't really have an answer for you. Sometimes people just want to make extra money. But you'll see it perhaps on your bill, on your reservation, on something, surcharge for this, for that, for the other. So when you see it, don't get confused. Now you know it just means more money, plus money. I'm paying, I have to pay more. That is the surcharge. Let me just write those words quickly into the chat. So we've got passport, we've got currency exchange, and we've got the surcharge, which is the extra charge. Easy. All right, so still in the airport, one of the first things you'll need to do is to go and check in baggage. Baggage is your suitcase. All right, got my little suitcase over here. And check-in baggage are those big suitcases that they have to weigh and put into the plane. So when you get to the airport, if you see only English signs, what you first need to look for is the check-in. The check-in is where you check in your baggage, so it goes on the plane, and then you'll go to the other parts of the airport. To go with that, we have carry-on luggage. Now, carry-on luggage is like a backpack or a handbag. It's something small that you take on the plane with you. So again, they may ask you what's in your carry-on luggage. When they use the word carry-on, now you know that is the small handbag. It's the small thing. That is your baggage and your luggage. So luggage and baggage, they mean basically the same thing. Baggage is usually just a bit bigger. Luggage could be big, but it just means it's stuff that you carry. It's your bags. And all of this is going to happen inside of the terminal. The terminal is the big building where everything is. So it's got all the places to go, all the check-ins, all the counters. It's got all the security. It's got all the gates, all the waiting places. That is the terminal. So if you see that word and you're confused as to what does it mean, terminal, that's it. It's the big building where everything happens. Then once you've checked in your baggage, you're going to get your boarding pass or your ticket. It's just a piece of paper, and it's going to have your gate number. It's going to tell you where to go. So the gate number is where the plane leaves from. So let's say it's gate number 2. You're going to go to gate number 2. You're going to wait and get on the plane. You have to go to that gate. And then one thing that'll be useful is the boards. Now, boards are those big screens in the airport that tell you the flights and tell you information about them. So it may say that a flight is delayed. We're going to look at that now. Or it may say the flight is on time. Or it may say that the flight is canceled or something's happening. So you look at the boards to find out information about where you're going, your plane, your train, whatever's happening. And so we've put in our passport, checked in our baggage, we've got our money, we've paid extra if we needed to. We got our boarding pass, we know which gate we're going into. The final thing that we're going to do is the security. So security, and usually at security they have the scanner. So the scanner is that metal detector that you have to go through, and hopefully it doesn't beep. And it's for them to check that you're not carrying anything like a weapon or anything metal. So that is the scanner. If you hear about that in the airport, now you know what it is. And finally, to get to your plane, sometimes you have to take a shuttle. So the shuttle is like a bus, like a little bus that's going to drive you from one place in the terminal to the plane so you can get onto the plane. All right, so those are all our first words, first part of our story. So let's deal with the question that was asked earlier about what is a schedule. So let me write it down over here. And this is definitely a travel word. So a schedule is the date and time that something happens. So it doesn't only have to be for traveling. We could have a date and time for a Cambly live lesson. So we have a schedule that says Saturday, the 28th? Saturday the 28th, we're going to have this at that time. That is a schedule. All right. Let me write all these words quickly down into the chat. So we had schedule. Schedule, which is the date and time when something happens. And we looked at boards, which is information about the flights. And let's put up one more, which is the terminal, which is the big building where everything happens. Ooh. All right. And you guys can carry on sending some questions. Also, make me some sentences with these words. So it's always good practice to make sure you understand how they work. write out a sentence about them. All right, let's carry on now. So we've done all the stuff at the actual airport terminal building, and now we're onto the plane, okay? So a couple of words over here. We have delay. So delay is the plane is not moving. So the plane is stopped. Whatever the reason is, the plane is delayed. Could be an hour, could be 5 minutes, but whatever it is delayed. Oh, I got another question here. We're going to look at that word later, lounge. Thanks for that, NAB. So delay. Now, what you really want is for your plane to depart. So you want your plane to actually leave. So you may go to the departure gate. Sometimes there's a difference between the arrival gate and the departure gate. So the departure gate is where you leave from. The arrival gate is where you come. So you want the plane to depart, fly off there. I hope you like my little drawings. And then once you've flown, however long you're going to do it, you're going to touch down. Touchdown is when the plane lands again. So delay, not moving, depart, touchdown. So you might hear those words even while you're on the plane. Sometimes the captain will come on and try to explain stuff, and he may say words like delay, depart, touchdown. Now you know what they mean. Another important thing when traveling is to know the names of the seats. And this is very important to me. I always think this is important. You want to know if you want an aisle seat or a window seat. I'll actually draw a little diagram here to indicate the difference. So these are all our little chairs. And here are the windows. So some people, they really like being by the window seat, okay? Because they want to watch the, they want to feel like Superman. They want to watch everything flying underneath them. And some people really like the aisle seat. Me, I actually like the aisle seat because I feel like you have more room, because you have the whole aisle there. You can put your legs out. So know which seat you want when you make the booking, when you make the reservation, when you get on the plane. Ask for the aisle seat or the window seat if possible. And of course, on the plane, they're going to serve what they call food. And sometimes it's going to be complementary. So that's a nice big word. And we can use that in a lot of other places too. Complementary means free. So is there a complimentary meal? Do I get a free meal on the plane? It's an important question. If it's a long flight, you want to make sure you get a meal. Hotels will sometimes also give complimentary things. So complimentary means free. If you see that word, maybe you're interested, okay? Because there's free stuff. I always like free stuff. Then, while you're flying, you might experience turbulence or bumpiness. So they may again announce this on the plane. Turbulence is when the plane kind of rocks back and forth, and some people don't like that too much. Same thing with the bumpiness. That's when the plane does this and everyone gets really scared. So usually it means nothing. It's how planes work. But now if you hear the words, if they say we're going to have a little bit of bumpiness or there's going to be turbulence, now you know what it means. All right, let's write down those words. And then, we've got a couple of other words, which is great. We're going to look at them right now. So let me just put these into the chat. What do we have here? We have delay. We have depart. We have touchdown. Touchdown is the plane touches the ground. That's why it's called touchdown. We have the aisle or window seat. Very, very important. The complimentary meal. Complimentary means free. And we've got turbulence, and bumpiness. Which is when the plane is moving. All right. Now, let's deal with, we've got a lot of other words here. We've got from Joseph, takeoff. And from Nav, a word called procrastination. I will answer it for you, even though it's not, I can make it travel related. And we've got from Shambu, visa on arrival. And Joseph is asking, does a middle seat exist? It actually depends, I think, on the plane. On bigger planes, you will get this middle seat. I think that is the worst seat. I don't like a middle seat because you're like surrounded by people. Other planes, they may only have the two seats next to each other. So we've got some questions here. We've got the word takeoff. And takeoff, we've actually got here already. It's to depart. It's when the plane goes up. So takeoff is when the plane goes up. Touchdown is when the plane comes back down. So I'll put it over there so that you guys can see that they are the same thing. Depart and takeoff. Okay, so they mean the same thing. Other questions we had here, let's deal with them. We've got the, someone's asking about a visa on arrival, which is very important for travel. Visa on arrival. So now this is a different type of visa from the credit card visa. This is the piece of paper that says you are allowed to be in the country. And it can depend on the country how it works. So some countries, they have all their little deals with the other countries. And they say, your people can come to our country, no visa. Other countries will say, no, you, because you're from that country, you need the visa. So it's important before you leave to check this out and see, do I need a visa? Do I need the piece of paper that says I'm allowed, or can I just go without the visa? So it's a really good question. Another question we had earlier was traveling agency. So a traveling agency is actually a group of people or a person that's going to arrange the trip for you. They're going to make the bookings. They're going to make the reservations. They're going to find the hotels, find the cars, find the flights. They're going to find everything for you. They're going to tell you where to go, and that's it. So the traveling agency will do all the work for you. I'll be honest, I actually like to make all my own reservations. I like to find the hotel, find the car, find this, find that. Some people, they don't. They don't like the planning, and they will go with the traveling agency. All right, so thank you for those questions. All right, now you've touched down, all right? You're in your other place. Next, the big word that we have, and I like this word, is to disembark. Disembark means to get off the plane. Got my little guy here going down what I think are steps. So disembark means to get off the plane. And then you need to go to baggage claim. So this is also very important to look for that word in the other airport, baggage claim, because that's the conveyor belt. That's the conveyor belt, which is that big black belt that carries all of the luggage. So you want to go look for that to find your bag, and hopefully it's there. So always look for baggage claim. After you've done your baggage claim, sometimes you need to go to customs, and you'll have to meet a customs officer. Got our little police guy here. So the customs officer and customs is saying, do you have anything to declare? Declare means you bought something or you're bringing something into the country that you have to make sure they know about. So a good example is money. There are certain amounts of money that you're not allowed to bring. So if you have a suitcase full of like $1 million in cash, you're going to have to declare that. You're going to have to show them, yes, look, this is the money that I brought in. And they're going to say, well, where did this bag of cash come from? So certain things you have to declare. I mean, usually if you buy clothes or you buy normal things, not going to declare anything. But big things and special things, you have to declare, tell them about. And final thing that you'll have to do once you're touched down is go show your passport and visa again to another person so they can say, ah, you are real, you're the real person, and you should be allowed into the country. All right, let me put down those new words as well. Oh, I've got some more words here from Joseph. Lost baggage. We're going to look at those. Great. And Kalipan says one-way ticket. Tanya doesn't understand turbulence. Okay, I will go over those. So we've got our customs officer, and to declare something, and this means to show certain items like a large amount of money. You have to show them, this is it, I'm bringing this in, I'm allowed to. And you'll also want to find your baggage claim and conveyor belt because you will get your luggage. All right, so Joseph has asked about, and hopefully you don't have to deal with this, a lost baggage area. So let's say you get to the airport and you go to the conveyor belt and your luggage is not there. You're going to have to go to a special place, a special counter, the special people for lost baggage. And you're going to have to tell them, my bag is not here. It is somewhere else in the world. It is traveling without me. So that's what lost baggage office is. It's your bag is not here. It's not at the baggage claim. They need to find it for you. Okay, so Tanya did not understand turbulence. So turbulence, the other word for it is bumpy. So when you're flying, got your wings out, and there are problems, sometimes the plane is bouncy. It bumps up and down, feels like a roller coaster. That is turbulence. All right, so you can just remember the word bumpy, and you can remember how I danced here for you guys. All right. Oh, and NAB says he says carousel as well. So that is another word for the conveyor belt. It's a nice word. Carousel. So that is, again, the same place where you get your bags from. All right, so we've gone to the airport, we've flown. Now let's look at what's happening in our other city. So we finally got out of the airport. We want to see stuff in the city. Let's see what we're going to see. All right. So one thing people like to do is to go sightseeing. Let me try to use this pen because it looks a little dirty on the board. Sightseeing. So sightseeing is very general. It's when you go to all the places in the city to look at it, all right? To say, here I'm in Rome, there's the Colosseum. I'm in Paris, there's the Eiffel Tower. I'm in New York, there's the Empire State Building. So sightseeing is seeing the sights. That's really dirty up there. That's a bit better. So sightseeing is seeing things in the city. And what kind of things would you see? So one thing people like to go to are museums. So museums could be about history. They could be about art. They could be about culture. You guys also tell me, what do you like to see in a city? I see another question here. So Luann is asking, when visiting a new place, is there some difference between city break and go sightseeing? So I would say that some places that you go, and it's a good question, thank you, Luann. Some places you go, there's not a lot of sights to see. So the places we mentioned there, Rome, New York, Paris, lots of things to see. Other places you go to relax. So you may go just to kind of get away from your city, and you're not going to see too many things there. So you could call that a city break, or it's like a relaxing thing. So not every place will have lots of sights to see. All right, Faisal, I hope I'm saying that right, is asking, I don't know the meaning of bumpy. All right, that's a good question. It's bumpy and turbulence we're having problems with today, but it's okay. So bumpy is this. So if you're flying, you want the flight to be straight, like that. Bumpy means it goes up and down, like a roller coaster, up and down. That is bumpy, up and down. And that's not a nice way to fly. It's not going to feel good. So that is what bumpy means. Okay, I think there's a conversation happening, which is great. You guys can converse, which is always good for your English. All right, so we can go to museums. Other things people like to go to are stadiums. So stadiums are usually for a sport. So we just had, recently there was the World Cup soccer. So a lot of people, when they traveled, they went to a stadium to watch the soccer, to watch the sport. So it's a big building with lots of seats and lots of people, and they play the sport in the middle. Okay, what else can we do? I've got my little list here. All right, another word, and this comes up sometimes with museums, is there may be an exhibition. There may be an exhibition. Nice big word. To exhibit something, to have an exhibition, means to show. So often at a museum, there will be a special exhibition. So they may say that this week we are having a Van Gogh exhibition or a Picasso exhibition, which means we're going to show their work in the museum. So you may want to check out what kind of exhibitions there are going to be if you like that kind of stuff. Exhibitions could also be a performance of some kind. So maybe there's a dance exhibition. So an exhibition is to show something. All right. Another place a lot of people like to go. All right, I think Ibtihal has told us where he likes to go, a historical museum, because it shows us the heritage of that culture. I agree. I love to go to see the history of a city. I think it's really great. Joseph says he likes to eat in local restaurants. And Kilapan asks if we can say a little bit about a student visa. So let's do that. So let me put it over here. I'll put a line here. So we talked already about the visa, which is the piece of paper that you need to go to another country. Now that visa usually is what's called a tourist visa. So I'll just put it over here. A tourist visa, because a tourist is just someone that's going sightseeing, they're looking at things, they're eating in the restaurant, they're having fun. They're a tourist. Most of us, when we travel, we're tourists. A student visa or a study visa is different. This is a long-term visa that allows you to study in another country for a long time. And usually, because it's a long-term visa, there are going to be lots of different requirements. So the tourist visa, you're going to be there for a very short amount of time, and as long as you don't overstay your welcome, there's no problem. The visa application process is easier. Sometimes you don't need it. You just get the stamp that says you can be here for a short period. But the student visa is long-term. You're going to have to provide certain documents, and usually you have to have a place to study already. So you need to have a college, a university, a school that has accepted you for your visa. All right, so that was a good question. Thank you, Kalipan. Another question. This is from Anissa. She says, sightseeing and strolling, are they the same? So let's make sure we understand the difference. Let me put it over here. So sightseeing and strolling are not the same. Sightseeing is, think of it as the big things to look at. All right, so I'm going to draw here like we've got our Eiffel Tower. Okay, it's a terrible Eiffel Tower, but it's the Eiffel Tower. Or we've got the Empire State Building. Not a good Empire State Building either. Or we've got the Colosseum in Rome. All right. Again, not a really good Colosseum. But these are the big things that you go to see. These are called sights, right? They are special things to see. So sightseeing is going to see the special things in the city. Strolling is just walking. So you could stroll through a park. It doesn't mean you're going to see some amazing work of art or amazing building. You're just walking and strolling. So very, very different. Sightseeing is to see the amazing special things. Strolling is just walking around an area, a park, and taking it in. Oh, another question here. Landmark. Excellent. Excellent. All right, so I'm going to put a landmark over here because we've actually got some pictures of landmarks here. All right, so a landmark is, again, those special things in the city. They are landmarks. So if you go to Paris, the landmark is the Eiffel Tower. Everyone knows, they can see it throughout the city. There it is. It's the landmark. A landmark can also help for directions. Sometimes people will tell you how to get somewhere by using a landmark. They'll say, okay, so go straight, you'll see the Empire State Building, you'll see the sign, then turn right. So landmarks can help with direction as well because they are big and everyone knows about them. All right. Then Joseph says he likes to go to parks as well and other historical places. Parks are always great. Let me write all these words down because some of these are new for you. So I'm going to write down strolling so that we understand the difference. So strolling is to walk around gently, to walk around and enjoy. Whereas sightseeing, got another word there from Baburam. We're going to look at it. Sightseeing is to see the special things in the city. We also had an exhibition. Exhibition is to show something. So it could be a performance. It could be work of art. Obviously, we have museums. We have stadiums, which is for sport. And Baburam has asked about the word Globetrotter. All right, let's write down that word. Globetrotter. All right, so this is kind of two words put together. It's a compound word. Globe is the planet. So that's the Earth. I know it's not the best. And trot is kind of a word to say run. Okay, so there's our little guy running. So a globetrotter is someone that runs around the world, someone that goes around the world to different places. They travel a lot. They do a lot of different things. So that is a globetrotter, someone who travels a lot. So they are here this week. They're there next week. They're at another place the next week. They are a globetrotter. All right. I think we all would like to be a globetrotter in some way, to see everything and visit all the different places that we can. All right. Let me just check that we've covered all the questions here. Oh, Kalipan asked about a one-way ticket. So I said this earlier, but let's go over it again. So when you travel, you can have two ways to travel. You can have a round trip. Round trip is to go to somewhere and then come back. You see how it's round, right? Go and come back. A one-way ticket means I go. That's it. So I go from A to B and I don't come back to A again. I'm here. And then you decide where to go. So that is our one-way ticket. Luann asked a question earlier. Touchdown, is it the same as takeoff? So takeoff is the plane goes up. Touchdown is the plane comes down. So very different. So takeoff, touchdown. All right. And Joseph tells us the currency in Hungary is the forint. Oh, and we had the word procrastination. All right, we'll make this our last word for the day. It's a nice big one. All right, so procrastination. Procrastination means to put things off, to always say, I'm going to do it, but not do it. It could be for travel. A lot of people, they procrastinate about travel. They say, I want to go there. I'm going to go there, but they never do it. So I think that's the way we could put it for travel. That's procrastination. You want to do something, but you keep putting it off and you don't do it. So I'll write that over here. And then I'm going to give you guys your discount code. So procrastination is to keep, is to not do something you want to do. Whether it's work, whether it's travel, whether it's start a business, you're procrastinating about it. All right, so your Cambly code, and to those of you that have come before, I'm sure you know what the code's going to be. It is go live. Go live. So I think you can get up to 36% off on your Cambly subscription. So go check it out. Also, if you guys joined late today, remember that the lesson is recorded. It's in the YouTube playlist together with all the other Cambly live lessons and all the other Cambly lessons. So if there's anything you've missed, you can watch it as many times as you want. So go check it out. Again, I'll quickly say that Cambly, if you guys don't know it, it's a great online, web-based, app-based program where you will find native tutors like me to teach you anything you need, whether it's vocabulary, whether it's for a test, whether it's just to practice your conversation. So go check it out if you haven't already. I want to thank you guys for joining me today and giving so many great words and great interaction. And we will see you guys again in another class. So until then, bye for now.